When you get out of bed in the morning, does the first step send a sharp, stabbing pain through your heel? If you're over 60, you may know this feeling very well. You wake up, place your foot on the floor, and suddenly your heel hurts so badly that those first few steps can feel like stepping on broken glass. You may hold onto the bed for support. You may limp across the room until the pain begins to ease. And because this happens morning after morning, you may eventually start wondering, is this just part of getting older? Will it keep getting worse? Will there come a time when I can no longer walk comfortably? Heel pain does not always mean your feet are simply wearing out with age. One common cause is plantar fasciitis. The plantar fascia is a strong band of tissue running underneath your foot from the heel toward the toes. When this tissue becomes tight, irritated, or overloaded, the heel can become especially painful after you've been resting for several hours. And that's why those first morning steps can hurt so much. The good news is that there are simple movements designed to address two important parts of this problem: stretching the tissues that have become tight and strengthening the muscles that have become weak. You can perform these movements at home in less than 15 minutes. In this video, I'll walk you through 5 exercises step by step, beginning with a simple technique you can use before taking those painful first steps in the morning. But make sure you stay with me after exercise number 5, because that's when we'll address something many people miss. I'll show you 2 bonus strengthening exercises designed not simply to ease discomfort, but to strengthen the small muscles that help support your arch. Because getting some relief today is important. Understanding why the problem keeps returning and what you can do about it may be even more important. So before we begin the first exercise, let's look at what is actually happening underneath your foot and why heel pain can become such an important issue after 60. Because pain changes the way you move. When every step hurts, you naturally start walking less. And when you walk less, your leg muscles weaken. Your balance gets less practice, your cardiovascular activity decreases, and even your mood can suffer. Over many years of working with older patients, I've seen this pattern repeatedly. What begins as a painful heel can gradually become a reason to avoid walking, stairs, shopping, gardening, or going out altogether. That is why treating foot pain isn't only about comfort. It's also about protecting your mobility and independence. So what is actually causing that sharp pain? Along the bottom of your foot is a thick band of tissue called the plantar fascia. It runs from your heel toward your toes, supporting the arch and helping absorb force whenever you walk. When the plantar fascia becomes tight, irritated, or overloaded, pain often appears near the heel where the tissue attaches. And this explains something many people find confusing. Why does it hurt so much with the first few steps in the morning? While you sleep, your foot remains relaxed for hours and the plantar fascia can tighten. Then you get out of bed, place your full body weight on the floor, and suddenly stretch that sensitive tissue all at once. That's why the first step can feel like a sharp stab through the heel. Yet, the discomfort may ease somewhat after you've been moving. But there is another important question. Why does this problem become more common and harder to ignore as we get older? The answer isn't found in the heel alone. After 60, several changes can occur throughout the foot, calf, and Achilles tendon. And understanding those changes will show us why the exercises we're about to do target much more than just the painful spot. So why does this problem become harder to ignore after 60? First, the plantar fascia gradually loses some of its elasticity. Tissue that once stretched easily may become less flexible and more sensitive to repeated stress. At the same time, the natural fat pad underneath your heel can become thinner. Think of it as the cushioning under your foot. With less padding, each step may place more pressure on the heel. Years of sitting and reduced activity can leave your calf muscles and Achilles tendon tighter. And because the calf, Achilles, heel, and plantar fascia work together when you walk, tension higher up the leg can increase stress on the bottom of the foot. Meanwhile, the small muscles inside your feet can become weaker when they're not challenged regularly. These muscles help support your arch. When they aren't doing enough, the plantar fascia may have to carry more of the load. This is why simply rubbing the painful part of your heel isn't the complete answer. The first 5 exercises will focus mainly on releasing and stretching tight tissues. Then the 2 bonus exercises will strengthen the muscles that help support your foot. One important precaution before we begin: these movements should feel gentle and controlled. If you have severe pain, significant swelling, numbness, or symptoms that concern you, speak with your doctor before exercising. Before we begin, I want to know what you're experiencing. If you wake up with heel pain, comment 1 below. If the pain also spreads into the arch of your foot during the day, comment 2. Let's begin with exercise number 1. Massage the bottom of your foot. This is the first thing to try because before we stretch the plantar fascia, we want to gently loosen the tissue and reduce some of that tightness underneath the foot. And depending on how sensitive your heel feels, you have 3 options. If your foot is especially painful or irritated, start with a frozen water bottle. Freeze it overnight, place it on the floor, and slowly roll your bare foot over it. The cold can feel soothing while the bottle provides gentle pressure along the bottom of the foot. If you want more pressure, use a lacrosse ball. Because it's larger, the pressure is spread across a wider area, making it a good choice if your foot is still sensitive. And if you can comfortably tolerate something more focused, try a golf ball. Its smaller size allows you to apply pressure more precisely to tight areas. Whichever option you choose, the technique is simple. Place the bottle or ball underneath your foot and slowly roll from the heel forward toward the ball of your foot, stopping just before the toes. Then slowly roll back toward the heel. As you roll, you may discover 1 or 2 areas that feel noticeably tighter or more tender. When that happens, stop there. Apply only as much pressure as you can comfortably tolerate. Then make small circles or short back and forth movements for about 10 to 20 seconds before continuing. Do this for approximately 2 to 3 minutes on each foot. And here's what makes this exercise especially useful. You can keep the ball or frozen bottle beside your bed and do it in the morning before you start walking around. That gives the tissue a chance to loosen gradually before it has to handle your full body weight. Once the bottom of your foot feels warmer and less stiff, don't stand up just yet. We're going to use that opportunity for exercise number 2. Because now that the plantar fascia has been gently loosened, we're ready to stretch it directly. Exercise number 2. The plantar fascia stretch. Stay seated for this one. Take the foot that's bothering you and cross it over your opposite knee. You want the foot close enough that you can reach it comfortably without bending or twisting your body. Plie one hand around your heel to keep the foot stable. With your other hand, hold your toes and gently pull them back toward your shin. As the toes come back, you should begin to feel a stretch running along the bottom of your foot, from the heel into the arch. That's the plantar fascia we're trying to lengthen. The key word here is gently. You don't need to pull as hard as possible. Go only until you feel a firm, comfortable stretch. If the movement creates sharp pain, reduce the pressure. Hold that position for about 20 to 30 seconds. Then slowly release your toes and let the foot relax. Repeat the stretch 3 times. This exercise works particularly well after the massage we just performed because the tissue has already been warmed and loosened. Instead of suddenly forcing a stiff foot into a stretch, we're gradually preparing it for movement. And this is an excellent sequence to remember in the morning. Massage first, then stretch. But the plantar fascia is only one part of the problem. If your calf is tight, it can increase tension through the Achilles tendon and down toward your heel. So for exercise number 3, we're going to move slightly higher up the leg and stretch the entire chain that can be contributing to your foot pain. Exercise number 3 is the towel calf stretch. This matters because your plantar fascia doesn't work in isolation. A tight calf can increase tension through the Achilles tendon, which connects to the heel. That tension can affect the way your foot moves and how much stress reaches the plantar fascia. For this stretch, all you need is a towel. Sit comfortably on the edge of your bed or a firm chair. Extend the affected leg straight out in front of you. Then loop the towel around the front of your foot, near the ball of the foot, and hold one end in each hand. Keep your knees straight and sit tall. Now gently pull the towel toward your body, bringing your toes toward you. You should feel a comfortable stretch running through the back of your lower leg. Depending on your flexibility, you may also notice the sensation traveling toward the Achilles tendon, heel, and even the bottom of your foot. Hold the stretch for about 20 seconds, then slowly release. Repeat it 3 times. Don't bounce, jerk the towel, or pull until it hurts. A slow, steady stretch is all you need. And this exercise teaches us an important lesson about heel pain. The place where you feel pain isn't always the only place that needs attention. Think of it as a connected chain. Calf to Achilles, Achilles to heel, and heel to plantar fascia. If one part of that chain becomes excessively tight, the tissues below it may have to deal with additional tension. That's why we're gradually working our way from the bottom of the foot upward, instead of repeatedly attacking the painful heel. Now that you've learned how to stretch the calf while seated, exercise number 4 will take this same idea into a standing position, with one small adjustment that changes where you feel the stretch. Exercise number 4 is the modified runner's stretch. For this exercise, stand facing a wall and place both hands against it at about chest height. Step the affected leg behind you and keep that back leg straight. Your heel should remain firmly on the floor. Bend your front knee slightly, then slowly lean your body toward the wall. At this point, you should already feel a stretch through the calf of your back leg. But now we're going to make one important adjustment. Take your front foot and step it slightly across toward the opposite side. For example, if your left leg is the one being stretched behind you, move your right foot slightly toward the left. Then gently lean forward again. This small change shifts the stretch toward the inner portion of the calf and can make the sensation travel farther down toward the heel and arch. According to the technique we're following, this position also encourages the foot toward supination, a more outward-loaded position that will become important again when we reach the final strengthening exercise. Hold the stretch for about 20 seconds, breathing normally, and keeping the back heel down. Repeat 3 times on the affected side. Now you've stretched the plantar fascia directly, loosened the calf while seated, and worked the calf again while standing. Exercise number 5 is the towel plus runner's stretch, and this is where we combine the 2 areas we've been working on, the calf and the plantar fascia. For this exercise, you'll need the same wall from the previous stretch and a small towel. Roll the towel tightly and place it on the floor near the wall. Step onto it with the affected foot so that your toes are elevated on the towel while your heel remains firmly on the floor. This toe position is the key. By lifting the toes upward, you're already placing the plantar fascia under a gentle stretch before you even begin moving. Now step your other foot forward and set yourself up in the runner's stretch. Keep the affected leg behind you and straight. Keep the back heel down. Place both hands against the wall and slowly lean your body forward. Because your toes are already extended upward, the stretch doesn't stay only in the calf. You may feel it travel down through the Achilles tendon, into the heel, and along the bottom of your foot. In other words, you're stretching the calf and plantar fascia at the same time. Hold this position for about 20 seconds, then slowly come out of the stretch and relax your foot. Repeat 3 times. Don't try to push farther, simply because this is exercise number 5. The elevated toes can make this stretch feel more intense, so use only enough pressure to create a firm but comfortable pulling sensation. And with that, you've completed all 5 of our main exercises. You've massaged the plantar fascia, stretched it directly, loosened the calf and Achilles, and finally combined those areas into one movement. These 5 exercises mainly address tightness and discomfort. There's another reason heel pain can keep returning, even after the foot begins to feel better. And it has less to do with tightness than you might think. It has to do with weakness. That's why the next 2 bonus exercises may be the most important part of this entire routine. If your goal isn't simply to feel better today, but to help your feet become stronger for the future. Now we move from stretching to strengthening. Bonus exercise number 1 is called towel scrunches. These are known as the intrinsic foot muscles. They help support your arch and control the movement of your toes. When these muscles become weak, the plantar fascia may have to take on more of the load. For this exercise, place a small towel flat on a hard floor and sit comfortably in a chair. Put your bare foot on the edge of the towel with your heel resting on the floor. Now, without lifting your heel, use only your toes to grab the towel and pull it toward you. Curl your toes, release them, move them forward, and curl again. Continue until you've gradually gathered the towel underneath your foot. Think of your toes like fingers gripping an object. Try to make each movement deliberate rather than simply wiggling them. Once you've pulled the towel toward you, reverse the movement. Use your toes to gradually push and spread the towel back away from your body. You may be surprised by how quickly the bottom of your foot becomes tired. That's often because these small muscles don't get challenged directly during everyday activities. Continue for about 3 minutes, but stop earlier if your foot begins to cramp or the movement becomes painful. Over time, strengthening them can give your arch more muscular support instead of asking the plantar fascia to handle everything by itself. And once you've awakened those smaller muscles, we're ready for the final bonus exercise, heel raises with a ball. This is where we move beyond simply stretching tight tissue and begin training your feet and calves to handle load more effectively. You'll need a tennis ball or a small towel rolled tightly into a ball. Stand near a wall, counter, or sturdy chair so you have something to hold on to for balance. Place the ball between your heels and gently squeeze your heels together so the ball stays in place. Slowly raise both heels off the floor until you're standing on the balls of your feet. Pause briefly at the top, then lower your heels back toward the floor with control. And here's the most important part. Don't drop your heels quickly. Take your time on the way down. That slow lowering phase forces your calves and feet to remain engaged instead of letting gravity do the work for you. According to the technique we're following, squeezing the ball between your heels encourages the feet toward a position called supination. This helps train the calves and feet while practicing the pushing action you use every time you take a step. Think about walking for a moment. Every step requires your foot to accept your body weight, stabilize you, and then push you forward again. So we're no longer simply trying to make a painful heel feel better. We're training the muscles involved in that process to become stronger and more controlled. If necessary, keep both hands on a stable surface at first. Balance is not the challenge we're trying to create here. The goal is controlled movement through the feet and calves. The stretches you learned earlier can help address tightness. The towel scrunches wake up the small muscles supporting your arch. And now heel raises begin teaching those muscles, together with your calves, to manage your body weight during a functional movement. Let me show you what this could actually look like in real life. A 68-year-old man named Robert. For months, Robert had developed the same habit every morning. He would wake up, sit on the edge of his bed for a moment, then brace himself before standing, because he already knew what was coming. That first step hurt. So, instead of immediately putting his feet on the floor one morning, Robert tried something different. He kept a small ball beside his bed. Before standing, he rolled the bottom of each foot for a few minutes. Then he crossed one leg over the other and gently stretched the plantar fascia by pulling his toes back. After that, he used a towel to stretch his calf. The entire routine took only a few minutes. Then he stood up. He didn't expect a miracle, and he didn't judge the routine based on that first morning. He simply repeated the same sequence the next day. And the day after that, massage first. Stretch the plantar fascia. Then loosen the calves. In the afternoon, while watching television, he placed a towel underneath his bare feet and practiced towel scrunches for about 3 minutes. Then he stood behind a sturdy chair, placed a small ball between his heels, and performed slow heel raises, paying particular attention to controlling the movement on the way down. That was it. He wasn't spending an hour exercising. He wasn't trying to become an athlete at 68. He was simply giving his feet regular attention instead of waiting until they hurt. And that's how I want you to think about the next 6 weeks. Not as a 6-week challenge you have to perform perfectly, but as a small routine you gradually attach to things you're already doing. Keep the ball beside your bed. Keep the towel near your chair. Make the stretches part of your morning, and add the strengthening exercises 2 or 3 times during the week. Giving them 15 minutes of attention is a small way of helping them carry you through the years still ahead. If there's one thing I hope you remember from today, it's this. Don't wait until foot pain has already taken things away from you before you start paying attention to your feet. Walking to the kitchen without thinking about every step. Going outside for a morning walk, shopping for yourself, visiting a friend, working in your garden, getting up and moving whenever you choose. These things may seem ordinary until pain begins making those decisions for you. The exercises we covered today aren't complicated. They don't require expensive equipment, and they don't ask you to push your body beyond its limits. They simply give you a practical way to work on the tightness and weakness that may be contributing to your discomfort. Start gently, stay consistent, and pay attention to how your feet respond. You don't need to do everything perfectly from the first day. Even starting with the massage tomorrow morning is a meaningful first step. And remember, persistent or worsening heel pain can have causes other than plantar fasciitis. If your pain is severe, accompanied by numbness or swelling, or isn't improving, speak with a qualified healthcare professional rather than trying to push through it. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these exercises are you going to try first? Leave the number in the comments below. And if you know someone over 60 who has started walking less because their feet hurt, consider sharing this video with them. Because sometimes maintaining independence doesn't begin with a dramatic change. Sometimes it begins with taking the next step more comfortably. Take care of your feet, keep moving safely, and I'll see you in the next video.